It's been a long, cold winter, but things starting to warm up. Blue skies here at Rockingham for the opening round of the 2013 Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. Let's go down into the pits, where Jake is chatting to some of the key members of the paddock.
So talking with Nick Hull. Nick, the Porsche Championship in 2013, is it going to be better than last year?
Yeah, we're going from strength to strength. We've got a good level of drivers again. We've got a lot more interest again. We've got great sponsorship from Toyo Tires. We've got sponsorship from Jasmine, Porsche Link, and we've got sponsorship from Wedbeb. So we're already sort of ahead of the game this year. As I understand, obviously we've got Jonathan Greensmith in, who's obviously been big in the Mazdas, and hopefully some of the Mazda guys are going to follow, so there's some interest from those chaps. So yeah, I think the championship will keep going from strength to strength, so hopefully an even bigger and better year.
Here's the grid: Rick Styron on pole, then Steve Boyles, Adam Croft and Will Sharp. Next on the grid, JM Littman from Steve Brown, Gary Goodwin and Stephen Potts 8th. They're followed by Mark McKenzie and Nick Hull, with Chris Valentine and Jonathan Greensmith 12th. 13th, Julian Brown, production box to pole, then Bernie Printy, Hen Sharp and Simon Hawksley for the 924s. Then it's Clive Morrison and Peter Smith, Tony McVinsky and Paul Bravo. They're followed by Carl Rossin, David Jones and Hugh Peart at the back of the grid. So three classes of Porsches. We've got full race Boxsters, production Boxsters and the venerable 924s. And getting a great start on the inside is reigning champion Rick Styron. I always make much of it being difficult to get away on the inside at Rockingham, but Styron's done it. He's got Steve Boyles side by side with him around turn 1, down towards the hairpin for the first time. William Sharp on the outside, the white car with the fluorescent mirrors. Adam Croft in 4th, but it's Rick Styron who leads. The reigning champion, setting out his stall in the title defence, is there leading. But what a great performance in qualifying from Steve Boyles, and a good start too. What a mightily impressive field there in car number 98's JM Littman. He was called at the last minute, sharing the car with Nick Perks, and Nick was ready to race in this one, hadn't signed on, so JM had to get in the car very quickly. Great to see the ex-Caterham racer joining the ranks of the Porsches as we look at Gary Goodwin in car number 46, the 37-year-old from Gerrards Cross, but already opening up a gap as they come down Steel Straight for the first time. It's Rick Styron from Steve Boyles. Then relative newcomer Will Sharp, we saw him down towards the tail end of last year, made a very immediate impact with his brother Hen, who's racing in the 924s, and I wonder what odds you'd get on brothers taking the championships. As up the inside goes JM Littman, side by side with Gary Goodwin. He's made it through. The 28 car is Jonathan Greensmith, the ex-Mazda champion, multiple champion in Mazdas. Runs in the SG Racing concern. SG from Steve Greensmith, his father. And as we said, some real quality drivers coming into the championship as we look at Steve Brown in the 60 car, moving up from the productions, the low fat to the full fat, to quote championship coordinator John Clark this year. Now easy of course to enthuse about the Boxster class, which is really coming into its own now, but of course we've still got the 924s, and they're still offering a very good entry level step in the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. We'll get to look at some of the 924s in the course of the race. But at the moment, it's the reigning champion, Rick Styron, who's there. Of course, Dave Clark was the man who dominated the Boxsters in the early days, and it looks like Rick Styron, as we move into the really what I would say is the established years now, if we can say that, of the Boxster class. He's setting out his stall, racing in the Taylor Foundry car, running well. 66 Will Sharp coming under pressure from Adam Croft, young addition to the family last year in the Croft household, and Adam now back focused on his racing. Not that he wasn't last year, but it's wonderful to have that, start bringing the youngsters around the paddock, and no doubt in 15-16 years time we'll be introducing another generation of Crofts into whatever Porsches we're racing then. I've no doubt the championship will still be going. So there is Adam Croft running well, car number 5, chasing Will Sharp, who looks like a very handy addition to the championship. 40 years of age, owner of the Wayside Adhesives Company, and a racing pedigree because he's an ex-MG. Oh, and Rick Styron's off! Rick Styron at the end of lap 1 has pulled into the pit lane. That is not the way he wanted to start the defence. And if you cast your minds back to last year, Rick Styron had a brace of DNFs at the first round last year. Now, is this history repeating itself? Because now it's not a big concern for him, because of course these guys do drop their worst 3 scores over the course of the season. So he's lost a score, he's got a drop score there, and he can afford some more as the season goes on. But he wouldn't want to have done it in race 1, and to my mind that was the mark of the championship, as we've got Mark McKenzie in the background there spinning out, the owner of the McKenzie Hotels Group, car prepared by Victoria Motorsport, made his debut in 2010 racing in the 924s, so a product of the ladder of talent, as it were. Brief look at the Union flag livery car of Nick Hull. Richard Sykes, of course, probably synonymous with that machine last year, although Psycho did try a number of cars throughout the course of the season. As we look at number 82, which is Paul Bravo, the dark grey car with the green wheels, running well in the 924s. Now let's have a little 924 moment as we're focusing on the Boxsters, but I can tell you 924 pole was Hen Sharp, followed by Simon Hawksley with Nick Perks in between those. Clive Morrison third in class. Will Sharp running well at the moment. As we go back, car number 28, Jonathan Greensmith, mentioned him earlier on in the programme, enjoying his debut here in the Porsches. Of course, the Mazda Championship, I guess this is a logical step for him to move up from there. And down behind him, Steve Brown in the 60 car, again moving up, always somewhere for you to move on to in British motorsport. And production-based sports car racing, extremely healthy. If you've not been to see a race, get on the website, check it out, come and watch some of the racing. 64 coming under a little bit of pressure. That's Hen Sharp having a good scrap here with the number 3 car of Simon Hawksley. Simon driving the ex-Adam Croft car, this being his second season. Hen Sharp, like his brother, spent a great deal of time racing in MGs. At the moment, Hen Sharp, of course, came in towards the end of last season, made a very immediate impact on the 924s, and it looks like the brothers are going to do the same again as Rick Styron's team, the Taylor Foundry Motorsport outfit, try and sort out what was wrong with the car, and if at all possible, get him back out onto circuit for some running time. And who knows, maybe if there are other drop-offs, to pick up some points. So down the main straight they go. Will Sharp second, Adam Croft in third place, then J.M. Littman in 98. Based in London, J.M. Littman, and making his return to racing as we stick with Jonathan Greensmith, 38-year-old from Hillsborough. Hen Sharp still leading in the 924s. And running well at the moment, getting away from the Aberdeen-based driver Simon Hawksley. Picked up a couple of wins last season. So battles developing in these races, which incidentally are timed out, as most BRSCC races are, at 20 minutes. It does enable the club to make sure that everybody gets their races, and as long as everybody behaves themselves, then we don't get safety cars included in that. And of course the drivers get optimum race laps. As we look at car number 79, that's Julian Brown, newcomer to the championship from Reigate in Surrey, dicing with Bernie Printy. That's the battle for the production Boxsters, just the two of them at the moment, and those guys enjoying their race. As we go back and pick up David Jones, the man from Beckenham in Kent, racing hard with number 82 Paul Bravo, and looks like they're calling it a day. Gone to the inner pit lane there at Rockingham. We've got 2 pit lanes, which is very much for the big oval racing to do here. Gary Goodwin trying to chase down on Nick Hull. At the moment, that's the 9th place between those two. And Chris Valentine in car number 2. Running well. Hen Sharp still leading the 924s at the moment. Car number 64 comes from Market Harborough, so not a huge amount of travelling for him this weekend. And a relatively relaxed opening weekend for the team. But Gary Goodwin and Nick Hull still at it. Goodwin in position at the moment in 9th place. Nick Hull, the driver's representative. You heard our pit lane reporter and presenter Jake Sanson talking to him earlier on and rightly enthusing about the championship. It really is a super championship. Mark McKenzie up ahead of this pair. The key thing to point out is that it doesn't matter who you are, there's always somebody to race with. That's what Nick Hull's enjoying at the moment. Looks to try and make his way down the inside. I was starting to talk about that liveried car earlier on and saying that Richard Sykes, most associated with it last year, he's off racing in British GTs in Ginetta with Lawrence Tomlinson this year. And caught up with him at their media day earlier on in the season, or before the season started. But these 2 cars coming through the Brook S's. Still Stephen Boyles out front. The significant thing for Boyles, he's got fastest lap as well, 140.799, 4 tenths away from his qualifying lap. Rick Styron did a 138, 1.4 seconds clear in qualifying, so he's going to be on a charge in race number 2 as we look at this 924 battle. Join us after the break to see how things pan out. Welcome back to Rockingham and round 1, race 1 of the 2013 Toyo Tires Porsche Championship, and Nick Hull looking up the inside of Gary Goodwin as they go into the Dean hairpin. Looks like Goodwin's hanging on to position. They've dropped a long way back at the moment from the 8th place car of Mark McKenzie. But continue on their way, certainly enjoying their race. 924 battle at the moment still led by Henry Sharp from Simon Hawksley. We saw just before the break, we saw off goes Gary Goodwin. Goodwin's off. Now is he going to rejoin in time? Yes, it looks like he's now possibly going to lose a place to... No, that's Mark McKenzie, isn't it? Behind them. So McKenzie coming through. Here's the battle for the lead in the 924s. Henry Sharp, Simon Hawksley's going to try and point his car up the inside. Very nearly contact between the 2. And Hawksley looking for the inside line as they turn into Chapman Curve. And he's through into the 924 lead. Hen Sharp's been deposed. Meanwhile, back at the front, race leader Steve Boyles continues on his way. Fastest man on track, 147.99. The only driver to break below 1 minute 41. Will Sharp in second. 0.05 of a second shy of it in terms of best lap times. So Steve Boyles, the 33-year-old from Nottingham, is continuing on his way and looking as if he could well take the win here in race number 1. It's been a great drive for him. It was very slightly gifted, of course, by Rick Styron going off, but nonetheless you can't take anything away from Steve Boyles and the way he's kept his head down. He's pulled clear of Will Sharp, who's had a very good first race in his full year campaign. I mentioned that he's a former MG champion along with his brother, and a terrific addition to the championship. Comes from Radcliffe on Trent, racing MG Maestros and midgets back in the day. And here's the battle for the 924s. There is still some great racing to be had from this particular class. And Hen Sharp had his nose back in front as they came into the hairpin. Not quite side by side. Bit of a gap between the two into Yentwood. Sharp down the inside and ceding the place is Simon Hawksley. Now up in towards Chapman Curve. He's going to have to try and get back down the inside. So Hen Sharp, I think, has got the initiative pretty clearly at the moment. He leads the class. We head towards the closing stages of this race. A bit of a wobble on there, and back through goes Simon Hawksley. So Hensharp very definitely getting used to the car. And car perhaps not handling as exactly he would like. There's J.M. Littman, who's having a terrific run, 4th position at the moment in his debut race in the category. Adam Croft up ahead of him. Back we go. And Sharp still challenging hard, looks up the inside. Hawksley's got the run at the moment, so Simon Hawksley will hang on to it. Down the School Straight they go in towards the Brook S's. These two having a cracking scrap. Hawksley's got the fastest lap. That was back on lap 5, so he's the faster of the two drivers. And that's the black car that leads this battle. 1 minute 48.838 seconds. So through they go. I'm not sure whether those guys are going to be lapped over the course of this race. Have to wait and see that, but J.M. Littman running well. Black cross on the car for Nick Perks, his car sharer and teammate, who we'll see out later on in the meeting. But back on this 924 battle, and Hensharp looking down the inside. Remember that Simon Hawksley's got the outright pace at the moment with the fastest lap. Sharp seems to be trying everything. A little bit of body roll from the car as they come round out of the hairpin, loses a little bit of ground. Now we'll see whether he's going to be able to close in. There is a problem for Carl Rossin, car number 41. So disappointment for the 44-year-old from Bedford. So again, another local driver. So Paul Bravo gets lapped by the leaders, who are starting to get stuck into the 924 runners now. Adam Croft still being chased by J.M. Littman. Will Sharp goes through. 82 is Paul Bravo, so the race leaders passed him. Will Sharp still there. You can see the 924s behaving themselves, keeping their eyes on their mirrors. They'll also be seeing the signals from the track marshals here. And now Nick Hull coming under a little bit of pressure from the 69 car of Mark McKenzie, who we saw have that half spin earlier on in the race. And I incorrectly said that he was ahead of the battle between Gary Goodwin and Nick Hull. And now he has caught Nick Hull. He's actually behind them and he's caught them up. We saw Gary Goodwin have the moment off on circuit a little while ago, but Mark McKenzie trying to chase down Nick Hull, the man from Harrogate, ex-short circuit kart racer. Car prepared by Newbridge Racing. Wide line there from the chaser, and great to see Mark McKenzie up into the Boxsters from the 924. Has been synonymous with the Boxsters for the last couple of seasons. Out of Tarzan corner we go, and Nick Hull still hanging on to that 8th position at the moment, with all of the things that we've had happen on circuit. We lost Rick Styron, we've lost Peter Smith in the 924s, and Hugh Peart. And up across the line again. The shadow's getting a little bit longer here at Rockingham. Day 1 of the meeting. Of course, it's a 2-day meeting. We're testing, qualifying, and the race is spread over 2 days. Some meetings we have 3 races, and some meetings 2. Adam Croft and J.M. Littman still very much hard at it. Good to see him, as we said, a former Caterham racer. Actually started racing in Formula Honda, which you probably know now as Formula Jedi, who are actually racing on this meeting as well. So no doubt JM was having a little bit of a trip down memory lane. 1999 he was racing those. He's the car chasing at the moment, and then raced, as we said, in the Caterham Championship, and now a very welcome addition to the Porsches, and putting pressure on Adam Croft as they come through the S's again. Back out onto the circuit at turn 4. Still Steve Boyles out front. Looks like there's not really any huge challenges, I don't think, going to Steve Boyles at the moment, as we look at Adam Croft and J.M. Littman, 3rd and 4th in the race. Down behind them it's Jonathan Greensmith and Steve Brown, of course the former production Boxster racer, and there is Stephen Boyles. Will Sharp still not too far back actually, and making very good progress. There's the battle to 3rd and 4th that we focus on, so that gives you an idea of where the top 4 are, and there's not a huge amount in it between those. So Littman, I wonder if he's going to be happy with 4th place on his debut. I think we know the answer to that. Probably isn't. He wants 3rd very clearly off Adam Croft, but even so, it's good to see him. And a problem there. That's Simon Hawksley. Simon Hawksley's off the circuit. Now, has he blown his motor? The number 3 car is out of the race. That's going to give the win, if he carries on, of course, to Henry Sharp. But at the front end of things, Henry Sharp's still not been lapped, incidentally. That's Anthony McVinsky in 27, who I think is going to be lapped. He's going to be the last driver, because coming up to the flag, it's Steve Boyles who's going to take it. But look at that, round the outside line. It's Will Sharp, who's not too far behind. He closed it down to 7/10 of a second on the last lap. So Steve Boyles takes it. Problems, that's Hawksley, isn't it, that's off. Mark McKenzie's gone off as well. Problems, I think there's probably some oil on the circuit. I'm speculating that the oil's gone down from Simon Hawksley's car, but there's the man that's won the 924s, Hen Sharp, picking up where he left off at the end of last season on his debut in the Formula. Takes a win, but it wasn't all easy going, because Simon Hawksley really had the pace and had fastest lap. They sometimes say an engine is at its sweetest just before it blows up, and I'm wondering if that's the case with Simon Hawksley in the 924s. Sharp end though. Will Sharp second. Steve Boyles takes the win from Will Sharp in second. Adam Croft 3rd. JM Littman 4th ahead of Jonathan Greensmith. And Steve Brown in 6th place.
Steve, fantastic start to the season, and you benefited there from Richard's downfall.
Yeah, it was great. Brilliant start to the season. It got a great start. Rick just picked me on the first lap, then he had some sort of problem, I don't know what it was, so yeah, I took advantage of that and managed to keep it there for my first win.
Yeah, 3rd meeting with the Porsches, and yeah, got a good start, and then surprised to see Rick obviously had pulled out, which left me and Boyles having a bit of a battle, and we kind of maintained a gap all the way through with the 2nd place, and with Adam Croft behind there was a consistent gap there, and then the tyres kind of seemed to go off but then came back in towards the end, so I managed to kind of reel him in a bit. The back markers played a part, and yeah, towards the end I thought I was going to have a chance of snatching the lead on the last lap, but came in I think 0.7 over the line. So yeah, but no dramas, and everything was fine, and the car's been set up great by 911, and yeah, it seems great.
In the 924s, Henry Sharp took the win from Tony McVinsky and Clive Morrison. In the production Boxsters, it was Bernie Printy taking the win from Julian Brown.
So Hen, what a fantastic start to the season. We saw you at Donington end of last year, just getting into this racing, out with new livery on the car. How's it been for you so far?
It's been amazing. I went for the new livery obviously because of William Boxster, and yeah, it's just one of those things that we have to be joint livery, and it's hopefully brings us some good luck. But first time out, a qualified pole, which is great. Had a bit of a battle with Simon Hawksley in his 924. Came off better on that one and won the race, so great news.
Do you find it easy to lead from the front, or was it harder with all the pack behind you?
I prefer following somebody, to be honest. When he overtook me, I was slightly relieved because I thought I can at least tuck in behind him and pick my moment to pounce as I did. But yeah, no, it's a very interesting race, and it's very, very hot out there as well. And while I'm on that note, I just want to dedicate this win to my uncle. He's just been diagnosed with leukemia last week. So Uncle Chris out there, if you're watching, get well soon.
Welcome back to the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. The cars are coming out on the grid. Let's go and have a quick word with Jake down in the paddock.
Adam, the Porsche Championship, it's quite an exciting series to be involved with, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's obviously grown over the years. Started out just with the 924s. Boxsters joined 2 or 3 years ago, and obviously you can tell by the size of the grids now just how popular it is and how much it's on the up. I think we're looking at 25 cars this weekend, and hopefully 30 plus grids in the next the next few races. So definitely the place to be.
So what's that special chemistry that the Porsche Championship has over other series?
I think it's the prestige of racing Porsches. You know, the fact of telling your mates that you race a Porsche is always a good thing. Obviously, with the Boxsters now, we've got much more modern cars to race as well, so that adds a different dimension to it. Great camaraderie around the paddock. You know, some really good guys in this championship that are competitors on track but friends off track, and that all just adds up to being a good, fun way of going racing.
Here's the grid. Steve Boyles on pole with Will Sharp next to him, then Adam Croft and Jonathan Greensmith. Steve Brown and Steve Potts next, then Mark McKenzie. Gary Goodwin lines up 8th, then it's Nick Hull and Nick Perks, Rick Styron and Jonathan Greensmith on row 6. Bernie Princey and Julian Brown, then Hen Sharp and Anthony McVinsky for the 924s. Clive Morrison and Paul Bravo, followed by David Jones and Carl Rossin. Then Hugh Peart and Peter Smith. Simon Hawksley with it all to do from the back of the grid after retirement in race number 1. Away they go, and it looks like a pretty good start. Interesting shot from the rear of the field, and look at the green and black car of Rick Styron. He starts to make a move. He needs to cut his way through the field fairly quickly here. They're 3 wide on turn 1, but it's Steve Boyles there, Adam Croft on the inside line, Will Sharp on the outside, and up into 4th. In one corner from the back of the Boxsters is the reigning champion. He's challenging for 3rd place. Will Sharp on the outside. Car number 1, Rick Styron, with his problems sorted out, and I'm told from the pits it was similar problems to last year. Is he going to get 3rd, or is Will Sharp going to hang on to it? Sharp's there at the moment, but Styron read that situation very well, went from a wide line, chopped down through on the inside, and he's up onto the podium already. Incredible stuff from the reigning champion, and you can see why he carries the number 1 on the Taylor Foundry car. Will Sharp down to 4th, but a good first 2 corners from Adam Croft in car number 5, who is in 2nd place. So this one is shaping up to be an absolute classic, and Styron obviously quickest in qualifying, didn't get any rub of the green or race practice in race number 1. You can see by the racing line there that he's got an attacking pose coming down into Tarzan. Oh, and I think Adam Croft saw him a little bit too late. Croft was on the racing line. Styron set that one up nice and early. Good, clean, fair racing from the pair, and really good that there was no contact between the two. But it's Steve Boyles out front in 77. Boyles there from Rick Styron, so that's absolutely incredible, isn't it? The progress that Styron made. This is probably the only track in the UK where you can do that. Here's the onboard from Rick. Look at what he's doing. He's just trying to pick his way through. There's the gap. The inside of Gary Goodwin on the outside line. Squeezes past Steve Potts in the 25 car. He's already made up about 5 positions. Down the inside of Steve Brown, out towards the wall here, or is he going to keep it tight on the inside? He's looking at the 2 cars. He's got Will Sharp on the outside, decides that Sharp, I think, is going to get hung out to dry, so attempts to go through on the inside. Look at the body language, the posture, cool, calm and collected. Sharp's got the lines to come down into Yentwood. Rick's on the outside, senses he's going to go wide, chops from that wide entry, through on the inside, no contact between the 2. That's how you get from the back of the box to grid up into 3rd in about 2 corners, or 3 corners in actual fact. And here he is now racing for the lead. Steve Boyles in front, and the man we were on board with, Rick Styron, in 2nd position. What a cracking scrap this is round Piff Paff, and down now onto Steel Straight. Styron looking at that outside line. He just looking at what he did on the opening lap, certainly with Will Sharp, he tends to favour hanging to the outside line and then chopping back on the inside. This is where he got an overtake as well on Adam Croft on the last lap. This time goes for the outside and now dives back on the inside, selling him a dummy. That's great racing, I tell you what. And you know where Rick Styron learned that? In karting. That was a classic karting move. Somebody once said to me that Rockingham is a big kart track. Well, there's arguments all sorts of different ways, but Styron takes the lead. He didn't need to do that then, to be perfectly honest with him. He's got 20 minutes, but he just wanted to get into the lead and start to pull away. The reigning champion leads off of turn 4 at Rockingham with Steve Boyles in 2nd place. 3rd position is Will Sharp. Adam Croft is 4th. Then it's Steve Brown, running well, the 60 car, the blue and yellow one. He's an engineer at Toyo Technologies, Rookie of the Year in 924s back in 2007, runner-up in 2010, and he then took the championship in 2011 for the 924s. Car number 2 going through there, the red machine of Ian Loggy, championship sponsor from last year, also a triathlete, so rather him than me. So we look at Jonathan Greensmith, car number 28, challenging Stephen Brown. Greensmith started this one, let me see, down in 5th position. So there's always some very good racing to be had, and Steve, proof of the production Boxsters. 94 win, of course, in the first race of the day. Going to the driver having his first full season this year, Hen Sharp. There is Hen back in the mix of the cars certainly involved in a race at the moment. We focus on Jonathan Greensmith trying to put a bit of pressure on Steve Brown. Both these drivers in their 30s. Greensmith a little bit nearer to 40 and pops up the inside, maybe the extra experience counting there, and he goes through, makes up the position. Anthony McVinsky. 41 is Carl Rossin, and chasing Rossin is Hen Sharp, so it all seems to have changed around at the moment in the 924s, and Hen challenging for second place at the moment. Rossin, the white car with the red mirrors, in second position, but Anthony McVinsky holding sway at the moment in the lead of the class. The 61-year-old from Cleveland's in Lancashire, used to race in the Centurion Challenge, commentated on those, a couple of those at Pembrey in Wales going back in the day. Also did raced in classic saloons, but back to the race leader. Now what's happened to our second place driver? There is Steve Boyles, now down in 3rd. So Rick Steyer in leading, second position is Will Sharp, third place is Adam Croft, passed there by car number 26, Bernie Printy. Production Boxster racer. As you can see, the top production Boxsters really getting in the thick of things with the full race ones, the full fat versions. Bernie absolutely flying. I'm sure he won't mind the pun, or explaining the pun as well, because he's a airline pilot with Jet2.com. And back we go to the 924s up across the line again, and it's Anthony McVinsky leading this one, Carl Rossin in second place, then Hen Sharp in 3rd in 64. A little bit of a gap back that's opening up between the lead trio at the moment in the 924s. Julian Brown, now the second car here of this pair that we're focusing on at the moment, this is the battle for the production Boxster, so very close between Julian Brown, another new driver to the championship, company director from Reigate in Surrey in his first season of racing, and certainly keeping Bernie Printy a little bit lively here. The production spec Boxsters, a success. We've only got 2 cars racing in it this weekend. You probably think, well, why is the stupid commentator calling it a success? Well, the answer is that the drivers that were in the productions last year have moved on. Some of them came into productions last year, which was its inaugural season, and moved up to the main class, the race modified class, during the course of last season. So it's there to bring people in, and it's bringing people in and moving them on a lot quicker than a lot of people expected. So the fact that we've got 2 cars here is very, very encouraging indeed. 96, now that's the JM Littman car we saw in race number 1, but now driven by Nicholas Perks, new driver. The white car with the cross on it comes from Bournemouth, first season of racing, sponsored by Perfect Touch, Webheads, JM's company, Catalyst 2, Liberty Tech, and this is his first ever race, and he's acquitting himself real well, and good experience. A new driver in the full race Boxsters, battling it out with the production guys as we go back. A little bit of smoke there, I don't know if it's a problem for somebody, but Nick Hull ahead of Mark McKenzie, and I think Steve Potts down behind them. Steve Potts in the number 25 car, yes it is, the 40-year-old from West Malling in Kent, works in banking and finance, and Steve, last year's production Boxster champion. So he's made the move up. We're expecting a couple more of the productions out over the course of the season. Those 3 having a really good scrap. Meanwhile, out at the front, it's Rick Steyer who is leading them away, with Will Sharp in second place. Steve Boyles not having the successful run that he had in the first race of the weekend, but this trio heads down School Straight. Nick Hull still running well. Been told Nick Hull's got a 10-second penalty. He had a out of position start. Should have picked up on that really, but all the more remarkable then the race leader managed to come through as we go, and off goes 41. Carl Rossin goes off. He was running second in the 924s and he's stuck on the grass. Now, has he hit the barrier or not? I'm not sure, but that certainly has taken one of the lead 3 cars out of the 924s. Now, if he's in a precarious place, as Steve Potts goes down on the inside of Mark McKenzie and is chasing Nick Hull, they'll have to be wary. I'm not sure on the circuit where that was. Possibly along School Straight. It's a long 2-mile lap here at Rockingham, so it's going to be some time before these cars happen across the yellow flag zone, and they won't be able to overtake. And in actual fact, we've got the safety car being scrambled here at Rockingham to recover the car of Carl Rossin, who finds himself off circuit. So time for us to take a little bit of a breather as Rossin's car is recovered from the circuit. Join us after the break for the resumption. Welcome back to Rockingham. We're under safety car here as Carl Rossin's car gets pulled away. He was involved in a mighty scrap for the lead of the 924s. Meanwhile, the Boxsters go through. There's Jonathan Greensmith, followed by Steve Brown. Then the number 2 car of Ian Loggy, last year's championship sponsor, of course. 2 productions go through. We're about to go racing again. The lights are out on the safety car. That's the clue that we get to tell us that racing's about to go. Rick Styron, of course, no stranger to leading under safety cars, and I don't think there's any threat to his lead. It's Will Sharp in second place, then Steve Boyles, Adam Croft in 4th place, followed by Jonathan Greensmith, then Steve Brown. Get me Potts and Browns muddled up. And they all get to the restart. Looks like a good start from them all down into the chicane for the first time. So battle for the lead resumes. Car number 27, Anthony McVinsky leading from Hen Sharp, and of course now with Carl Rossin out of the equation, that becomes a 2-way battle, perhaps a little bit less tactical, but nonetheless an enthralling scrap happening in the 924s. So Rick Styron starting to get away. This is the pair battling over second position at the moment. Steve Boyles chasing Will Sharp. Green flags greeting the drivers right the way around the circuit, just to remind them, if they needed reminding after the safety car pulls off, that racing is go. And now coming up into the mix is Clive Morrison. So in the lead now we've got Hen Sharp, but Clive Morrison comes through. Clive Morrison's up into second position. Morrison second, Hen Sharp is there. Anthony McVinsky now down to third in the red car. So Morrison, an ex-Formula 3 mechanic back in the 1980s, now very much a specialist Porsche mechanic, got his own garage in Stockport, raced in the Intermark Challenge about 5 seasons ago. And again, you've got to say, another very useful addition to the grid here, and taking on the likes of Hen Sharp and some of the drivers that have been around their 924s for a while, but gets it all sideways. Morrison, well, that's probably a little bit of inexperience with the car. First meeting for him in the 924, gets it back on track very quickly. That's the mark of a great driver, a very quick recovery, composure back together, shakes off some of the dirt on the tyres and recovers, but he's dropped a couple of positions there. So Will Sharp still there in second position. Third place 77 Steve Boyles with the win under his belt. This is going to be a healthy looking start to the championship, first event of the year for these cars, and very close between Adam Croft, Jonathan Greensmith in the mix as well. Richard Styron trying his hardest to get away. Now the significant thing here is that Will Sharp's got the fastest lap at the moment over Rick Styron. Will Sharp 1:39.872. Rick Styron still in the 40s, the low 40s, 1 minute 40.012. So he's running well. Hen Sharp is there as well, the younger brother of the pairing, still leading from the 27 machine of Anthony Mekvinski. Those two having a real good scrap. Paul Bravo is there as well in 82. Big pardon, it's Clive Morrison, isn't it, in 92. And following him, Simon Hawksley in car number 3. Managed to change cars, which is good. Steve Boyles challenging for that second position again. There is Adam Croft and Jonathan Greensmith. Greensmith really adapted to these cars very quickly indeed. 5th position here. If you look at the results on paper, you think, hey, 5th maybe not so good. But when you look at the quality of drivers that we've got in this championship now, as Adam Croft goes up the inside of Steve Boyles. Boyles was challenging for second position at the start of this lap, and now he's down to 4th, and it's form an orderly queue, isn't it? Because coming up and having a go is Greensmith. There's a little bit of a wobble on there from Steve Boyles. Doesn't look happy with the handling of the car as he went through Chapman Curve, and Jonathan Greensmith goes through. So Steve Boyles, the race 1 winner, finds himself down now in 5th position. Still Rick Styron out front, and Jonathan Greensmith on his debut up into 4th place. Well, this is even better. There's Styron at the end of Steel Straight, going into Graceland in the distance, and now it looks to me as if Steve Boyles wants that position back. You can understand why. Here's the battle for the lead in the 924s. Hensharp taking a very wide line, and up the inside goes Anthony Mekvinski into the lead. Mekvinski back in the lead then of the 924s. Simon Hawksley in 4th place, trying to get back on the podium. Remember, unfamiliar car. He's done all his qualifying work in number 1 car, which he had the failure on in race number 1. And a dive down the inside. Ian Logie through on the inside of Steve Brown. Great little manoeuvre there. And this is what I love about Rockingham, and I said it earlier on during race 1. You'll see passes on all of the corners, and there aren't too many racetracks in the UK where that's doable, but here it very much is. And of course, if you're a spectator here, you can see all of the circuit, or pretty much all of the circuit. Sometimes the cars go just down below a little bit of a dip, but on the whole you can probably see 95% of the circuit, certainly from the Rockingham building in the centre, which overlooks the pit lane, so you can see the action in there as well. It's a great place to come and watch motor racing. And what a great scrap we've got on here. Adam Croft at the moment in 3rd position, Jonathan Greensmith 4th, then followed by Steve Boyles. At the moment, Rick Styron not getting any television coverage because he's doing what he did last year. He's got to the front and he's getting away. He's going to open his account this year earlier than he did in 2012, and remember, he went on to take the title last season. So Styron with the number 1 on the car, different livery this year, and a very special opening lap that we saw. I think we're going to remember that opening lap right the way to the end of the season. And here comes Greensmith now challenging for a podium all over the back of Adam Croft in car number 5. So Adam's going to have to get a little bit defensive here. Can't seem to do anything about Will Sharp, who is ahead of him, and Sharp's still the fastest man on circuit as Rick Styron emerges from turn 4 and will take his first win in his title defence. Styron takes the win. Will Sharp's going to be 2nd. It's a drag to the line for 3rd, but Adam Croft gets it just from Jonathan Greensmith. Steve Boyles was looking up the inside to recover 4th, but has to settle for 5th position. Ian Logie is going to take 6th place, and the 49-year-old from Tarpley will be pleased with that. Adam Croft looks happy. There's contact. Hensharp makes contact with Anthony Mekvinski. Well, I'm not sure what the stewards are going to make of that one, but that's going to leave in the 924s Clive Morrison in 2nd place behind Hensharp, and Simon Hawksley in 3rd. Well, that's going to be subject to stewards. Well, we've seen that this guy's got the speed again. Hensharp up across the line, takes the checkered flag, with Clive Morrison following behind him. And the stewards, well, I don't think it was intentional. None of the drivers would do that, but intentional, unintentional or not, the stewards will act on it. And I can tell you that Clive Morrison has therefore been awarded the win in the 924s. And this man, the reigning champion, Rick Styron, is the man who takes his first win of the season. Styron the winner. Will Sharp in 2nd place from Adam Croft. He's up on the podium and pleased about that. A great debut from Jonathan Greensmith in 4th. Steve Boyles in 5th place to add to his win in race number 1. And Ian Logie taking 6th.
So we have the top 3 drivers then in race 2 of the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. Rick, turning to you. That was a lightning start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting the revs right, and on this time I felt lucky and nailed the revs, and then it was a great race with these guys and really good for the Toyo Tires Porsche series.
No issues with the throttle this time?
No, this is a brand new one, so surely I can't destroy 3.
Okay, well, we move across to Earl. That's a very exciting weekend for you, carrying on up to 2nd place in that one. Was that what you wanted?
Yeah, obviously I wanted to win, really. That's what I started out wanting to do, but I got a bad start, and I think I was down in 4th or possibly 5th, and then managed to come through into 2nd. And when they chucked the safety car, I thought I'll tag on to the back of Rick and try and see if we can do something, but he got a real good start on the safety car, much better than I did, and it was a matter of then just driving safe and coming in with 2nd for my sponsors that are here this weekend, 911 Sport.
You're going to need to make any tweaks to catch up with him in the 3rd race?
Well, I'd normally just get in the car and go, but they'll have all the wheels off and start messing around with it, so we'll see what happens in the 3rd race.
Fair play, well done. We'll move across over to Adam Croft. Adam, you had your first podium in race 1 and you've done it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thrilled to get my first podium in the Boxsters yesterday, and obviously wanted to go a couple of places better today, but happy with 3rd. I was running in 4th for the majority of the race. Managed to nip past Steve Boyles just after the safety car, so very happy with that result.
Can't be too long before your first win.
Hopefully not. No, we're getting there. We're closing the gap to Rick, so I think over the course of the season hopefully we can have a good 1-2 for TF Motorsport and bring both of the cars home in the right positions.
In the 924s, Clive Morrison gets the win from Simon Hawksley. David Jones in 3rd, and then the low-fat car class, the production Boxsters, a win for Bernie Printy, with Julian Brown taking 2nd. Bernie Printy getting the fastest lap as well. There was a 3rd race for the weekend too, and only time sadly to bring you highlights. It was another win for Rick Styron in this race. A cracking start. Will Sharp taking 2nd position again. Styron this time 9 seconds clear of his nearest rival. Bernie Printy took the production win ahead of Julian Brown, and Class C saw Henry Sharp back on form taking the win there. His confirmation of the championship. Will Sharp leads the championship after the 3 races from Steve Boyles and Adam Croft. Jonathan Greensmith 4th. Rick Styron's recovery starts already. He's in 5th in the championship, and Stephen Brown in 6th position. The 924s led by Clive Morrison from Paul Bravo and David Jones, and Bernie Printy leads Julian Brown in the productions. Make sure you join us next time for more action from the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship 2013.